I want to ask 3 real special people if they'd come up. They know who they are. And just grab a seat real quick. I was counting there for a second, and I went, I only see 2. Don't do this to me. So we had a guy that was going to come today, and his dad was taken to the hospital last night. And so I want everybody to know that the Destiny, she gets a star today because she was given like 20 minutes warning. Let me tell you about the guy who was supposed to be here today. He was a chief executive officer at a place that you stop at all the time to get gas and food. He was way up the food chain. He was in their accounting department. Outside of work, he had another business where he did he made a mistake. He needed money here, so he took some from here to pay over here, and he thought he could get it back to here before he got caught. And it just didn't work out that way. But his story is he was arrested and he spent time in Maryland in prison. And he's been calling me for like 1.5 years, almost 2 years, checking in. I can't wait to get out. My parents live there. I can't wait to get out. I can't wait to get out. He got out. And he came and he sat right back over there, kind of right where Michaela sits. This way, Michaela, right? He'd always sit there. And we haven't seen him for quite a while because he moved to Lewisburg, where he has a big accounting job. Just God provided all his needs. But he would tell you how important the church was, just for accepting him and encouraging him. I know several of us went out to eat with him. And he was just a regular fixture, and I miss seeing his face over there because he's just a great guy. So, if I could, I'm going to ask, you're sitting on the end. Justink. This is my friend Justine, and I'm going to ask her to tell you her story. Yeah, could you do that? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, now it's on.
Okay, they'll turn it on.
Great. Hi. So just my story, right? Okay.
So where did we meet?
Well, we met at Center County Corrections in probably, it would have been March of this year. Yeah, it would have been March of this year.
Just tell everybody a little bit about it.
Okay, well, I grew up in church too. My dad is a minister in a different church. And so, I grew up every Sunday going to church, Sunday night, Wednesdays, Bible study, whole 9 yards. I did all of that. In 2009, I had gotten into a really bad car accident, and that's when my addiction started, and it kind of spiraled from there. Started making some really poor decisions, got in some trouble, got in a lot of trouble with the law, and in 2021, everything kind of exploded for me. Lots of really bad decisions. I did a couple little overnight, couple day stays in Center County. And then I ended up getting sentenced in January of this year, and I served 126 days in Center County. So yeah, now I'm sober here, and so yeah, that's kind of my story. I have 3 beautiful kids who now I get to be present for and get to be around for. Fortunately, they're young enough that I can kind of start over a little bit with them, which is a blessing, God is so good. He has really helped change my perspective of how my life could be and should be, which is such a blessing. This program, Go Reentry, is it's there are no options. You know, when you're sitting in a jail cell and you don't know what you're doing, you don't know why you're there. I mean, you may know, but you don't get how this all happened. To have somebody who's rooting for you on the other side it's really great. You know, a lot of people, I met a lot of women in there, and they don't have anybody, you know, and it's heartbreaking. It's really hard. It's hard to see other people have nothing, and you know, I'm very blessed that I have a family and I have, you know, a home, and so many people don't. So this is, you know, this is where it's at. Prison ministry is definitely a needed field.
So her dad's awesome. I can't tell you how he pastors just like 40 miles away from here. Has a growing, thriving church. But her dad's already spoken into me and encouraged me more than I could ever explain. She comes from a good home, and she comes from a good family. She's a great person. She's a great mother. So to think that this will never happen to me or my family or somebody that I know, you don't know that. Thank you for sharing. I think you're awesome. Give her. I'd meet once a week with the group, and I always liked to go there because she was always positive, always had a good attitude. I want to introduce Doug to you. Each person has a different role, like they came in contact with Go Reentry in a different way. And I'm just going to let Doug tell his story and maybe tell everybody how you ended up here. He's wearing the Access Church hat. Does everybody see that? They're for sale right after service. I don't know. Everybody should have them an Access Church hat.
Hi, guys. So, I mean, my story is a story of addiction and struggle, and I spent a lot of my life battling addiction, and I inevitably thought I was going to lose. I made a really poor decision, and I ended up going to prison for 5 years. And that was God intervening, because I couldn't do it. I tried to get out after 3 years. I was given another year hit, and again the second time. And I believe that was God saying I wasn't ready. Because when I came home, I fell flat on my face, and I struggled. I didn't have something like Go Reentry to walk into and have a support system. When I came back to State College, I was living in Williamsport. I came back to State College, and I got plugged in with this group. You know, I went to some of their meetings. Kurt and Sean have been super supportive of me, picked me up off the ground and set me on my feet. And I'm here. I come every Sunday if I can. These people saved my life, and I'm grateful to them, to Go Reentry, and these programs need to be everywhere, not just here. They need to be everywhere. If you're getting out of jail and you're gonna need somebody to reach out to, like, you're gonna need it, because it's a whole different environment. You know, your brain gets programmed differently in there, and you come out here and you don't operate the same. And you need that step, the support system, and the people to pick you up and put you where you're supposed to be. And that's what this thing does, and that's what it's done for me. So thanks.
Doug's amazing. So I had a chance to go and speak about an hour from here. And Doug and Angela showed up, and we're in the front row. Like, when I was looking like I was sucking lemons, they were smiling, and they were encouraging me. It's just amazing, his story. And something he said that you would not know. When you go to jail, they suck all the humanness out of you. And let me explain that. You're no longer somebody's boy or somebody's dad or mother. You're not you're you're not a son or a daughter or a husband or a wife. They take all that away from you, and they give you a number. They just give you a number or call you by your last name. And I don't think they do it intentionally, but they do it. And part of what we do when we go in there, we're going to talk about I try to encourage people. I try to give them hope that they're not just a number. They're somebody special, right? God made them for a purpose. And so I'm glad to have Justine and Doug. They're just awesome. Before I introduce you to Destiny, I have a daughter. I have 4 daughters. Lucky me. I am. I'm blessed. My second oldest daughter had an accident and had something happen to her jaw and her neck. And so they prescribed the Oxycontin and all those things to help with the pain. They did all that, and then they just took it. And she lived in Bloomington, Illinois, right north of Chicago. And, well, when they took the medicine, she started using heroin, and she started to drink. It was terrible. I was on a first-name basis with the chief of police from Bloomington. I had to have her committed 3 or 4 times. It was a terrible, terrible thing. But about 11 years ago, she went to rehab, and something took. And when she left, she went and she lived in a sober living house. And 11 years later, she's managing 7 of these sober living houses. She's stayed there, she's sober, she's doing all the right things. But when I saw what it did for my daughter, and when I'd go to jail and I'd ask people, where are you going to live when you get out? And they'd look at me like, I don't know. I started to pray really hard for a sober living house. And so praying, I had some specific prayers, some specific conditions, God, it's got to be in a town where people can walk to get to places. And it has to be on a bus route. There has to be public transportation available. Prayed very specific. About 9 months ago, some pastors asked me to go meet them at their church. They called me. I didn't call them. Nobody really knew about this. They called me unsolicited. And I met with them, and at the end of our meeting, they say, we have a parsonage right next door. It has 4 bedrooms. Do what you want with it. And so we were able to open what we call it the Willow Tree Inn, but I call it the Inn. Does anybody know where I get the name from? Seriously. The Samaritan took the Jewish guy to the inn. You just stay as long as you want, just get better, right? So we call it the Inn. And it's been good. And so I'd like to introduce you to, she really does need the star. She had no time to prepare for this, but this is my friend Destiny. And would you just tell people a little of your story and where you're at now? Okay.
So my name's Destiny, as you know. I did not have a good childhood. My childhood, the way that you bonded was doing drugs or, alcohol. I saw a lot of things that probably shouldn't have seen as a child. And so, my mom moved me around a lot. My biological dad was never there. I had a stepdad, but he passed away when I was 18 and kind of left me alone in the world. And I've been doing drugs for about 15 years. I've been a meth addict for about 6. And so basically, I was starving in the street, and I was sleeping in graveyards. And so I decided that I wanted to get locked up, because I was hungry. Can you imagine that? Being so hungry that, jail seems like a good place to go. So I walked down the middle of the street, and I got the police called on me because people are like, what is this crazy girl doing walking down the middle of the street? And so I go to jail in Center, and I get released or whatever, and then I was living with a guy that started to abuse me, so I put myself back on the street, stopped reporting to probation, and then I got a warrant, and I found out I got a warrant, so I went and turned myself in, and I went to Mifflin. So in Mifflin, I was there, and I needed a home plan to get out. Like, I had went to court, you know, whatever, blah, blah. And so I put a home plan in from a random address that I got from some girl in there. And so I got called into the counselor's office, and they're like, well, it's denied. And but there is this program called Go Reentry. Would you like to, you know, apply for it? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I get this application, and I fill it out. And then about a week later, I think that you came in with Shauna. And I think the first thing I said to you was, man, you need a haircut, Mark. and he just like looked at me, you know, and but no, Go Reentry has literally saved my life. Like I said, I mean, I was doing meth for like 6 years straight. This is the longest I've ever been sober. I have never had anybody just care, you know, like, you know, they help you find a job, they help you, you know, they give you a place to sleep, obviously, and just like anything that I would ever need, like Mark, Betsy, and Shauna are always there, and that is such a comforting thing because, like, I mean, I've never had that. And I think Access Church, I mean, I'm a little quiet, I don't get into like the whole worship thing or whatever, but like I've hear God on my heart and whatnot, and I do appreciate, like, I love this church. That's why I come. You guys are pretty awesome. but yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys are good.